and welcome to your Pointers for Parents podcast, where we support parents with anxiety related to teens transitioning out of the home after high school, whether heading off to the college campus or the military base or residential interdependence. Listen, you amazing folk already know me. I'm Dr. Michelle Lloyd, and I'm going to be your host today. And joining us on today's episode is none other than Caren Cooper. I am absolutely excited that she is here. Listen, so lean in and let me tell you all about her. After years of feeling as just skeptical on this never-ending diet hamster wheel, Caren decided to say yes to better health. She was amazed to find a system that not only allowed her to lose weight, but also to feel good. Caren now runs an online health and wellness business, empowering others with habits and mindset to live a healthy lifestyle without deprivation. As already mentioned, she's a mindset advocate. She helps others to get out of their own way. And her flagship program, Unscrew Yourself, will be debuted soon. She mentioned all along that it'd be coming out in the fall, and you all already know it's the fall right now, so it's going to be coming out. So hopefully she'll talk to us about this during her segment right here with us. And so just a little bit. So she loves, let me tell you what she loves. She loves corny jokes. And guess what? Disco. So now you all who are around our age, you all know when disco was out. And so listen, laughter truly in her mind, in many of our minds, is the best medicine. So she has 2 children and she lives in Staten Island, New York. So listen, Caren, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your presence.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, I am excited as well. So let's begin, just so we can learn just a little bit about you. I am curious to know if you have read a book or familiar with a book that you picture is profound. If so, if you'll share that with us, and we're listening in.
I actually have 2. And I'm actually in the middle of reading her. I'm reading it, I think, now for the 3rd time. It's Jen Sincero. How she has 2 books. You Are a Badass and You Are a Badass at Making Money. So I'm currently reading at the moment, like the 3rd time, You Are a Badass at Making Money. And also Mel Robbins, her 5-second rule. The 5-second rule was really, it makes you understand that, wait a minute, we have 5 seconds to make a decision about something. And if we count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we just make the decision and there you go. So those 2 were very, very profound for me.
Awesome. And I'm sure has been impactful in reference to just leaning you into what you want to do to fulfill your purpose. So that's super exciting. So a morning routine. Do you have a morning routine?
I do have a morning routine, actually. And I didn't always have a morning routine. So that just lends to changing your ways a little bit. My morning routine actually is, after I wake, this is obviously after I wake up, I try not to look at my phone, even though my alarm is my phone. But I try not to look at my phone. And then I do journaling. I do a card pull. So I have like these the cards that I pull and I read what it is for the day. I do belief work. I do belief work. So it's like I have different I am statements, different, like it's safe to be seen. It's safe to live in ease and flow. Or one is, the more money I have, the more fun I have, the more money I make. Those are a few of my beliefs. And by belief work, I also mean that I say them and it's not just I go through them. I say them and I like encapsulate them, meaning I I visualize them, like I feel them, as opposed to running through it just like a list. And then I do a meditation through my mentor Tracy Litt has a future self visualization that I do a meditation, and I also do, like I said, I do books, so I do at least 10 pages of reading. So that's my entire morning routine.
Wow, I love that. And the most influential part of what you just mentioned, and all of it was awesome. You mentioned you visualize it, like you embrace it. It's almost like you assume that thought.
Right.
There is, it's so interesting because like where the mind goes, and
Yep.
I'm uncertain if we really know how powerful our mind is. But that which we dwell on, I mean, that's even scriptural. I mean, we're even asked to think on certain things, those things that are noble, those things. So whatever we can envision, like
Mm-hmm.
we can actually, our actions will follow, and then
Correct.
those actions will actually bring on the outside what we picture on the inside. I love that. I love that.
Exactly. That's exactly it's called I that's going to be part of my program. But yeah, it's exactly right. It's you're becoming, that's how you become the person in the vision. So you're
Mhm.
visualizing what it is, and then every day you act like that person in the vision. That's when it will manifest.
And I look, we're just starting off, and this is all already so good. So even when I was in school getting my last degree, like I pictured myself walking across the
Mm-hmm.
stage and receiving that doctoral degree. Like I, in the process of researching and interacting with my dissertation chair, like I started changing my passwords to Dr. Lloyd. I started, it's all about picturing it and then doing it. And I have to admit, although my mom taught reading comprehension for 40 years, I, back in my past, there was a stint where I even taught those children with Asperger, autism,
Mm-hmm.
dyslexia. And it's all about visualization and verbalization, like what you
Mm-hmm.
see, what you can picture, you can say,
Right.
helping children to begin to speak and be able to comprehend that. So that there's a whole like Socrates, there's a whole like study about all of that. So thank you so much for saying that. So all right, so we're back on track now. But this was so good. I love that visualization piece. You're so on board with that. So
Thank you.
now you mentioned, and I mentioned, that you have two children,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe your daughter is your oldest.
Yep.
Okay. And so you begin, we know that our listeners are those parents who are in the mix of, either they've taken a teen off to the college campus this past August, a couple of months ago, or they're getting ready to, or they've taken them off previously, but they're just stuck in a place like this place of vulnerability
Mm-hmm.
and who am I now? And
Mm-hmm.
like what's next for me, where am I going, what, like, and I have to admit, and even for myself, like I had never experienced that, what I experienced after
Mm-hmm.
I first started off. So I want to ask you, did you experience, when you took your daughter off to the college campus, uh any type of emptiness or grief? And if so, like what mindset centered strategies did you practice to overcome, Caren?
The interesting thing about the mindset portion of this conversation is that I wasn't ensconced in a lot of mindset work until about a year or so after we dropped her off. So that's what's very interesting about this. But I will say this, my daughter just graduated in May. So she started college in the fall of 19. For my story is that I knew that it was going to be a great experience for her. And so I knew her going away and going to the college that she went to was exactly what she needed. So I think that was part of what really helped me. Because I also, let me backtrack a little bit. I went on all the college tours with her.
Ah,
So when we went looking at colleges and things like that, I was the one who went with her. So I think that was, I think part of the piece is honestly going with them and seeing their face and experiencing it for yourself. I also didn't go away to college. I grew up in Brooklyn. I went to Brooklyn College. So that whole experience was really fun for me because I never did it, but also through the lens of my child. So having that experience with my child really helped me in dropping her off
mm,
because there was no doubt in my mind that this was going to be amazing for her. And so that I think is what really helped me. Because did I experience grief? Yeah, because it was really weird leaving her there and then coming home and only having one kid at home.
mhm.
That was wild. And it was just something that, and honestly, then I don't think I did any mindset things. It was just really a matter of, this was good for her. So that was my mindset trick. It wasn't about me. Honestly, I didn't even make it about me. It was more about her. So knowing that it was really good for her, full transparency, those first 2 weeks she was calling, I want to come home every day. Every day she was calling that she wants to come home. And I was like, no, you can't come home. Because I knew if she came home, she would never go back. And so my husband was like, no, she's coming home. And like, I'm like, no, she has to stay. Like we would have these conversations, like arguments about it. But because I knew, and sure enough, after 2 weeks, everything was fine. And I was right. It was the best experience for her and things like that. So is there grief? Yes. But I leaned into it. I didn't escape the feelings. I felt all the feelings. I dealt with, you know what I mean? You deal with it. You feel the feelings because you have to. Because there is a grief moment. There is a what do I do moment. There is a what's going on moments, but you work through them. And this is like the new normal, I guess you can say.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad you said you feel the feelings because guess what? Our feelings are valid. Like our feelings aren't just something that sits outside of
Right.
us and we're just like we do. And so in order to overcome, like we have to feel them first. We have to feel
Right.
them first. Awesome. So, and just I'm curious to know, like the whole desire to come home, the whole desire to come, was it just because it was the environment was unfamiliar to her, the newness of it? Do you think that it was the unknown
Mm-hmm.
or
All
probably
of that.
okay?
Honestly, I think, you know what, she had kind of met her roommate, and I think it was all of it. It was really her first time being away, she had gone to day camp and she had gone like on trips away for a few nights and things like that, but it was with other people. This was really the first time. You have to realize this is really in a lot of instances the first time they're ever on their own doing things for themselves, like to that degree. You know what I mean? Now she's got to be in school. She's got to go to class. They have to go to school, wake up, make sure they actually wake up. You know what I mean? That's a huge one. Go to classes. At that time, at freshman year, she didn't have a job yet. But you know what I mean? It's like she doesn't know anybody. You're going to a place like in her case, she didn't know anyone. She kind of knew her roommate and that kind of thing. And I didn't know this, so I think it was all of that. And she went to University of Delaware, and I know a lot of colleges do this. They do like a welcoming weekend where they have clubs out there and they have all these things. So there's things that these kids can do to go meet and do things with other people. It's just that they have to find their footing. So that's what happened with her. But I will say this, one of the things somebody told me after the fact, which I wish I known, so I'm going to tell you guys, and maybe the people who are doing it next year or even for sophomore year, do like a pizza party. Like, so get like pizza or candy or something like that and have the door open and like invite the kids into their dorm rooms, because that's a good low key way for them to meet other kids.
It really is. It's a very good way. I totally appreciate you even sharing that. I think when my nephew went off to college, I think that was about 3 years ago. I ordered one of the big snack packs. It
Mm-hmm.
had maybe like 100 snacks on it. Like not so. In other words, the message I was sending to him, and I even told him, like, at some point you all are gonna have a hall meeting with
Right.
your residential assistant. Like, take that and like what I mean. You can all like if you're unable to connect over food, then we may have to just look in the mirror because I'm able to connect so well over food, a beverage, all of that. So yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Takes the pressure off.
Absolutely. It totally does. It totally does. So now your daughter, she has graduated from college. Congrats to her. Yay.
Thank you.
So what helpful tips, Caren, can you share with parents related to how you managed that whole parenting at a distance stuff?
I gave her permission. One of the things I did was I knew she wasn't going to make back to Staten Island. And I think that's it too. I think it's so often we want.
You're listening to Your Pointers for Parents podcast, where we support parents with anxiety as it relates to teens transitioning out of the home after high school. To get additional tips tossed and or gems dropped, subscribe to our weekly emails by clicking on the link below. Now back to Your Pointers for Parents podcast.
We impose on them what we want for us, not for them. And so you have to turn it around to them. It's not about you. I hate to tell you, but it's not about you. It's about them. So I had given her permission. Like, she didn't ask for it, but I think she was kind of looking at it in a low key way. And so I had said, I know you're not coming back, and that's totally cool. I get it. You have to do what you have to do. So that there was that. And now that she's, now that it's done and it's official and she's there, the what I do is, first of all, one of my biggest things that I do on a daily basis is breath work. So I actually have alarms that go on throughout the day, go off throughout the day, and I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll do breath work. I do either alternate nostril breathing or 4-7-8 breathing. You can Google it, but that's one of the things I do because that's about self-regulation. So one of the biggest tips I can give you guys is to self-regulate in some way, shape, or form. There's various ways that you can do that. That's one of the biggest ones that I do personally. And letting go, it's a very strange feeling as a parent when you're bringing them up and, you're doing all the things and then letting them fly. And it's really a practice in letting go and surrendering and trusting. Those 3 words have been the thorn in my side, full transparency. But that's really what it's about, because for them, like I said, in the first 2 weeks, it was about the unknown. It was all those things. So it's almost like a full circle moment, right? So it's really about trusting and letting go and surrendering and knowing that they're going to be okay, and they have to fall because we did. Think about it when we were back in our 20s and whatever else, and how our parents felt. They did the same thing in some way, shape, or form with us. So you have that's one of the things that I've been doing. And another thing that I do is, sometimes she just texts me. She's like, she'll ask me, did I do the right thing? So it's not like she's looking for me for advice. She's just looking for me to validate what she did. So I'll just be like, yep, you totally did the right thing. So it's almost like reading between the lines is one thing also. And then another thing I do also is, like, she'll call me up and she'll, vent or whatever you want to call it. I'll be like, well, what are you looking for me from me right now? So rather than just spewing advice to her or giving her my opinion about something, I ask her what she needs. So again, it's not about us. It's taking everything away from us and making it about them. Is it weird? 100%. Is it? And there is a grief period too. There is a period of, I think, grief that goes along with it. And again, feeling the feelings. It's really weird. And she's only 2 hours away from us, but it's really weird and exciting and wonderful all at the same time. And again, it's about feeling those feelings and acknowledging those feelings.
Mm-hmm. And I even like when you said that it's almost like you're confirming and validating her. And that's powerful because, like, you're allowing her to make those decisions, as opposed to just giving her the answers every time she calls you, or assuming that she wants you to be this person,
Right.
and when she's really looking for this. So
Right.
you're getting that clarity ahead of time as opposed to assuming.
Right.
Which is essential. And sometimes, because we're still, and sometimes it's a challenge to come out of our full-blown mama bear,
Mm-hmm.
mommy mode. Questions are what will help us to remain in that place where they
Right.
need us. I
Right.
love it. So tell me this. So you have your son,
Mm-hmm.
and so he's there, parenting. What's next for you? Like, give us an update.
I had no idea. And just but I just I just thought of something else, by the way. When you have other kids at home,
Mhm.
validate their feelings as well,
Okay.
because his sister went away to school, and then we come home and he's the only kid here. You know what I mean? Which for him was great, but you know what I mean. There's also this validate. There's this wait. They have a sibling who left as well. What's next? I have no idea what's next for me. Honestly, he's graduating high school in June, my son, and I don't know what's next for me, and that's alternately scary, but also exciting. I'm on this now adventure for me of, I don't know who I am. I'm separated, and my kids are older, and it's like, I thought, I did for myself, but I didn't do as much as I thought, quite frankly. So I don't know. So rather than, and that's part of the mindset work, is rather than looking at it from the negative perspective oh, I don't know who I am, blah, 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 I'm like, oh, this could be an adventure. Let me figure, this could be some sort of adventure, who I am. I don't know. Let me do. And you know what? It's more about, what do I like? What do I like to do? And making those decisions. Here's a perfect example. My birthday is on Thanksgiving this year. So
Mm.
give thanks to my birthday. No, I'm kidding. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to be here. I'm separated, so the holidays are different. And I was like, my son goes with my ex, and I was like, you know what, I want to do something and for me. And so I'm doing something for me. So that's new and exciting because I'm a recovering codependent people pleaser. So something like that's the other thing. You do for you, you think it's selfish. It's really not. Doing for you is just, it's incredible because then your cup is full and it lends to everything else.
And you're filled up. You're filled up.
Right.
You're full
Right.
so that you
And
can.
you talked about, oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. Okay.
You talked about my course, and I'm birthing of that course, and I have a free course coming up as well. So that's what I'm up to.
And can you share with us, yes, a little bit more about that? Because that's an exciting title in itself.
Yeah, so I'm doing a free 3-day workshop starting next Sunday on the 15th called No Pressure: How to Head into Holidays with Ease and Flow, because this time of year is so crazy and there's a mixed bag of emotions. So there's, 3 days we're going to be talking about words that you speak to yourself, self-regulation, and really visualization of your higher self. And then starting November, the first weekend in November, my course is called Unscrew Yourself: How to Get Out of Your Own Way, for those that are saying that they're fine but are really tied up in knots on the inside. And that's, again, all about all the things that I do with the mindset work is really about you live in either a disempowering or an empowering state, and switching and rewiring yourselves and reprogramming from those states and your limiting beliefs, and looking at fear, resistance, and everything from a different perspective, and becoming a 2.0 version of yourself.
Oh, all of that. It's like it sounds fun packed, but yet educational
Yep.
and just insight just going to be shared all throughout. Oh my,
Yes.
that's amazing. So listen, I am curious to know just my final couple thoughts um or questions. Are there any other pieces of advice you'd like to share with our listeners? And how can they contact you? Either to find out about what you have coming up or just to reach you if, in fact, they have any other questions, please.
I talked about feeling the feelings. So I want to elaborate a little bit on that because I think that's really, really important. Because a lot of times also we'll feel the feelings, but then live in them for days upon days upon days upon end. And so just a couple of techniques. So when you're feeling maybe like angry, punch a pillow, scream, do a temper tantrum, literally throw a temper tantrum. Dancing it out is another way. You know what I mean? Um, feel the feelings, but don't live there. That's really a big piece of advice. Like I used to feel the feelings and woe is me and play the victim card and that kind of a thing. And so my biggest advice is to validate, acknowledge, and even journal on your feelings. To just even write them down. Sometimes writing them down and getting them out is really helpful as well. And just know that what you're feeling is valid.
Hmm.
That's really the biggest piece of advice. Like what you're feeling and what you're going through is very valid. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to put a band-aid over it or anything like that. This is a weird time. It just is. Like that's the reality. It's beautiful and it's weird and it's strange. And I love the fact, I just want to acknowledge you, Dr. Lloyd, because I love the fact that you have this podcast, that you're having people like myself and other people on here to help and to just share other experiences. Because the other thing is, guys, you're not alone. You may think that you're alone, but you're not alone. There are so many of other of us that are going through the same thing. And so sometimes finding those people that are going through those same things, it's not about commiserating. It's really about, oh my God, it's validation of whatever you're feeling. So that would really be my advice, is not to go through this alone. A community is amazing. Other people having your back and having a sisterhood, a brotherhood is incredible and well worth it.
Mm. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. And even I, me walking in my purpose and bringing just information and insight to the forefront is it's my calling. And so what I'm taking away from you is when we're raising these teens and they're exploring and on their journey, that it's all about them and to
Mm-hmm.
being the person that they need us to be, and also giving them permission. I loved when you say that. And then validating the younger siblings. That's so powerful. And feeling
Okay.
feelings. Just so many gems you've dropped and nuggets that you've tossed. I so appreciate that. And so, how can people get in contact with you, Caren, please?
Facebook is really where I live. I live on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, but Facebook is where I live the most. So it's my name is actually Caren, so I'm not that Karen, just saying. Um, Caren, and my maiden name is Shagren. So Caren, Schagren, Cooper, Cooper. That's who I am on Facebook, and I'm Caren Cooper _ on Instagram. So those are the two places that I live the most.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. Listen, this was definitely time well spent. I so appreciate you educating us this morning. And for those listeners who know that this message is for you or for someone you know, please let them know that we are at Pointers for Parents podcast. And if you all have any questions or need us to bring on a guest speaker to answer those, or if you need to DM us, then please do so to ask those questions and we'll make sure we get them for you. So listen, Caren, thank you so much again. We appreciate you. We thank all of our listeners. And until next time, take care, be safe, and God bless.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Pointers for Parents podcast. Dr. Michelle Lloyd, and I'm going to be your host today. And joining us on today's episode is none other than Caren Cooper. I am absolutely excited that she is here. After years of feeling as just skeptical on this never-ending diet hamster wheel, Caren decided to say yes to better health. Caren, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your presence.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Did you experience, when you took your daughter off to the college campus, any type of emptiness or grief? And if so, like what mindset-centered strategies did you practice to overcome, Caren?
The interesting thing about the mindset portion of this conversation is that I wasn't ensconced in a lot of mindset work until about a year or so after we dropped her off. So that's what's very interesting about this. But I will say this, my daughter just graduated in May. So she started college in the fall of 19. So for my story is that I knew that it was going to be a great experience for her. And so I knew her going away and going to the college that she went to was exactly what she needed. So I think that was part of what really helped me. Let me backtrack a little bit. I went on all the college tours with her. So when we went looking at colleges and things like that, I was the one who went with her. So I think part of the piece is honestly going with them and seeing their face and experiencing it for yourself. I also didn't go away to college. I grew up in Brooklyn. I went to Brooklyn College. So that whole experience was really fun for me because I never did it, but also through the lens of my child. So having that experience with my child really helped me in dropping her off because there was no doubt in my mind that this was going to be amazing for her.